Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. I would like to thank Janaagraha for inviting me. And it's a great opportunity for me to be here for the 2 days, for listening to all of you, and thank you very much. So before I begin my presentation, just let me give you an introduction of what I do in Sri Lanka. And I've been a government servant for 9 years, so in various assignments, starting from fisheries, motor traffic, from foreign employment. So I was the youngest ever selected chairman of the government sector in Sri Lanka. I tried to bring, during each of my positions, a little bit of tools to fight corruption. For example, the first ERP system was introduced by me to the government sector. Then the fisheries, there was a problem of when the ships come, there was a famous thing called the landing permit, which has to be manually signed by minister and the department heads. So I digitized it and try to sort of give accessibility really fast and to make the time really fast. But certain things have been stopped, which I have started. For example, like in the foreign employment, when I was trying to send people abroad, so there was always there is a case that we have to have a letter from a politician to send people abroad for work. So what I did was I started online database, and so online application process. So if you want to go abroad, you can just fill in the application and send it across to me. So that process was really accepted by the public and all that, but eventually stopped, and I was moved to another position. So it has always been a fight with but I like to be in the system and correct the system. So that is, and being with Ramesh for 3 days in ISB, I think it got me to understand what amazing work he does in India. So I try to do this in Sri Lanka. So this is a cartoon that was published last week in our newspaper, where the bribery corruption, our corruption commissioner, is now the media is going behind him because he has accepted something, car or something, and which is, so the media is saying he has to be investigated. So I will start from that. Sri Lanka is falling somewhere around 91 in the Global Corruption Perception Index. And it has been sort of in the 86 and then 79 and 91. So somewhere I would say the stories that I heard yesterday about India are really applicable also to Sri Lanka, because most of the things that's happening here in terms of political financing and everything, so it happens in Sri Lanka also. This is the comparison of the index. And let me give you some examples what's happening. Right now there's a tremendous shift, which is the media is giving a lot of attention, and you always see the headlines. So the front page. So this is like a high-level corruption, I would say, a judge being arrested. So there is, actually institutions are there in Sri Lanka, and people are sort of trying to give attention to corruption so much. So this is a judge being arrested. And police officers, I don't know, 4 police officers been arrested in here. And you have OIC, that is the heads of the police department, officer in charge. So, and so for, I mean, low level, sort of 10,000 to even 20,000. But none of the ministers or member of parliaments have been arrested. But lower levels have been arrested. And this sort of low-level, I mean, I would say 300,000, 150,000, I would say retail corruption. So that also happens in Sri Lanka often. So these are some of the examples. And Transparency International, they're doing a brilliant job, and they have always mentioned that the anti-corruption mechanisms in Sri Lanka has to be strengthened. I think it is a vital thing that we strengthen those corruption mechanisms. There's 3 ways of fighting in Sri Lanka. One was the Commission of Investigation Allegation, which is the Bribery Commission. And the other one is the Public Services Commission. And it's called the PSC. And the other one, the next is the called COPE, Committee on Public Enterprises. So in 1994, the Bribery Commission was set up, a very powerful body, and this has been sort of the main fighter for corruption in Sri Lanka. And there have been a lot of cases reported, and giving a bribe and also taking a bribe in Sri Lanka is offense. So, so when we launched I Paid a Bribe in Sri Lanka, so we made it the names anonymous, because we can't expose the names, because both of the party people will be afraid to put their names. So the PSC is also a very powerful body, and it promotes an efficient discipline and content public service. So if you have, for example, irregularities in your electricity bills or water, or in terms of public service, so you can complain to the PSC. Yes, yes. COPE is also another body which is in the parliament, so where ministers and everybody gets together and question the government heads of the services, like the chairmans and all that. They've been questioned at the COPE. And these are some of the acts that sort of protects the Sri Lankan corruption, and we have very strong acts in parliament. And I Paid a Bribe was launched in November, and this is a snapshot of the most venerable, who's Sugana Dhammathera, which is one of the most learned priests, who's launching the site with the government and the opposition together. And opposition was very happy. Opposition was saying, please give us a report. So I said, you have to wait for some time. And it has been launched under the platform of Diri Saviya, a foundation that I have set it up. And for my father, who was a legendary politician in Sri Lanka and who was assassinated in 1994. In terms of fighting corruption, he has voiced many times in Sri Lanka. And when I was small, in his vehicle, he had a sticker. And so its sticker said, this is for public service only and not for private use. That is to stop the others for using the vehicle for private use. So he's an example now for many politicians in Sri Lanka. And some of the recommendations, I think empowerment of individuals is really important in such a tool like I Paid a Bribe, which happens because everybody doesn't go to a bribery commission. So that's person-to-person bribes should be minimized. I think the civil servants, the government servants' salary should be increased. We have a very nominal fee, so that's the reason they get involved in corruption. Minimizing rigid regulations. When I looked at the Karnataka model of how fast things work, so if things doesn't work very fast, I think there will be corruption. Empower and educate people. It's a very important thing to educate the candidates before the election. These are the mechanisms we have, and these are the things that you have to do, because some of them are clueless. In a democracy, everybody joins politics, but they are clueless. So educating is a very important thing, and strengthen the systems available for corruption. All these organizations need to be strengthened, and rewards acts of exposure. For example, a week ago there was a container load of heroin which was detained by customs, and a letter has gone from the Prime Minister's office, which is a secretary to a Prime Minister, has sent a letter to release the container, and this was exposed by the media. And you can see those officers in charge has a lot of courage to, nobody spoke about the officers, and they have to be rewarded because their lives are in stake of doing such acts. So people who actually do these things have to be rewarded.